Hi guys, in this lesson we will discuss about privacy governance. Privacy governance represents the components that guide a privacy function toward compliance with privacy laws and regulations and enable it to support the organization's broader business objectives and goals. And these components include the following: creating the organizational privacy vision and mission statement, defining the scope of the privacy program, selecting an appropriate privacy framework, developing the organizational privacy strategy, and structuring the privacy team. The privacy vision should align with the organization's broader purpose and business objectives and be refined with feedback from key partners. It is typically composed of few short sentences that succinctly describe the privacy function's reason. Now, alternatively, privacy can be covered in an organization's overall mission statement, or how they call it, code of conduct. A privacy mission statement describes the purpose and ideas in just a few sentences. It should take less than 30 seconds to read. So let me give you an example, the one from Information Commissioner's Office, or ICO. The mission is to uphold information rights for the UK public in the digital age, and the vision is to increase the confidence that the UK public have in organizations that process personal data and those which are responsible for making public information available. In other words, the vision describes purpose and ideas, while the mission, what you do, what you stand for, and why. Now, a typical approach to identifying scope includes the following two steps: identify the personal information collected and processed, and identify the in-scope privacy and data protection laws and regulation. Let's discuss now around approaches to privacy and data protection around the globe. US has a protection model, which is the sectoral laws. The approach to privacy protection is that enactment of laws that specifically address a particular industry sector, such as financial transactions, credit records, law enforcement, medical records, communications. European Union and Canada, they have a protection model that is called comprehensive laws. And the approach to privacy protection is that they govern the collection, use, and dissemination of personal information in public and private sectors with an official oversight enforcement agency that remedies past injustices, promotes electronic e-commerce or commerce, and ensures consistency with pan-European laws. Now, in Australia, the protection model is co-regulatory. And the approach to privacy protection is that variant of the comprehensive model, where industry develops enforcement standards that are overseen by a privacy agency. Then US, Japan, and Singapore have a protection model that is self-regulated. And their approach to privacy protection is that companies use a code of practice by a group of companies known as industry bodies. And these are the Online Privacy Alliance, or OPA, the Trust Arc, which is formerly Trust E, BBB Online, and Web Trust are again examples of this type of model. The term framework is used broadly for the various processes, templates, tools, laws, and standards that may guide the privacy professional in privacy program management. Privacy frameworks began emerging in the 1970s. They can be broadly grouped into three categories: principles and standards, laws, regulations and programs, and privacy program management solutions. And let's take some examples. So first, principles and standards. And these are fair information practices, the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, which is called OECD. They have guidelines on the protection of privacy and transborder flows of personal data. The American Institute of Certified Public Accountants, or AICPA, and the Canadian Institute of Chartered Accountants, or CICA, which have formed the IAPP-CISA Privacy Task Force, developed the generally accepted privacy principle, which we'll call GAPP, to guide organizations in developing, implementing, and managing privacy programs in line with these significant privacy laws and best practices. Then the Canadian Standards Association, or CSA, that's a privacy code that became a national standard in 1996 and formed the basis for the Personal Information Protection and Electronic Documents Act in Canada, called PIPEDA. Then the Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation Privacy Framework, which is called APEC, Binding Corporate Rules, and European Telecommunications Standards Institute, or ETSI. Now, number 2, we have laws, regulations, and programs. And here we have GDPR, we have HIPAA, you have the European US Privacy Shield, which was officially adopted in 2016 and right now, as we speak, is invalidated, but has a reason to replace the old Safe Harbor. And then we have the Canadian PIPEDA. Then number 3 is the Privacy Program Management Solutions. Here we have Privacy by Design, we have the European Union Agency for Network and Information Security, which is called ENISA, that provides recommendations on cybersecurity, support policy development and its implementation, and collaborates with operational teams throughout Europe. The National Institute of Standards and Technologies, which is called NIST, that has published an Introduction to Privacy Engineering and Risk Management in Federal Systems, introducing concepts of privacy engineering and risk management for federal systems, including a common vocabulary to facilitate better understanding and communication of privacy risk within federal systems and effective implementation of privacy principles. Now, once an organization decides on a framework or frameworks, it will be easier to organize the approach for complying with the plethora of privacy requirements mandated by the laws and regulations that are applicable to it. One option is to rationalize requirements, which essentially means implementing a solution that materially addresses them. For example, rationalizing the common legal obligation of providing individuals with a right of access to their personal information means the organization must also identify the timeframes within which data must be provided to individuals per applicable privacy law. In the European Union, as a result of GDPR, prescribed timeframes within which an organization must provide access to individuals, for example, employees or consumers, now exist. And in countries where no legal requirements exist and the granting of access may be merely an organization policy, or where there is a generous amount of time extended to provide data, the organization can adopt a procedure that sets a common time period within which data must be provided. Now, another approach organizations employ when possible is to look to the strictest standard when seeking a solution, provided it does not violate any data privacy laws, exceed budgetary restrictions, or contradict organization goals and objectives. Privacy tech vendors in the category of this privacy program management typically work directly with the Privacy Office, and vendors may manage assessment, consent, data mapping, incident response, privacy information, and website scanning or cookie compliance.